Good day, everyone. This is Attorney Don Green in Las Vegas. We're in this production at Rigel Studios in Las Vegas, Nevada, which also produces a number of my television shows on the American Guns and Glory Network and on YouTube. Today is part of a special election interview. And I've been telling everybody that in this election, in 43 years of practice, I've never seen an election with such severe consequences, and we need to have experienced people on the bench. And today I'm pleased to present candidate Patricia Marr for Department D as in dog of the Family Division of the 8th Judicial District Court. How are you today?
I'm well, and thank you for the invitation. I certainly appreciate it.
Yes. Now, tell us right off the bat, 3 or 4 points of why you believe you are the best candidate.
Absolutely. That first point would be experience in capital letters.
And what kind of experience do you have?
I have vast experience. I've been practicing for over 22 years here in Las Vegas, Nevada. When I first started practicing, I worked for a sole practitioner, and we would do mammoth civil cases. It wasn't uncommon for the moving truck to unload boxes and boxes of discovery.
That's the case we worked on with over 100,000 pages of discovery?
I believe so.
I'm sorry for interrupting you. Go ahead now, Ms. Marr.
No.
Go, Ms. Marr, and tell them why. Tell us about this experience you can count on.
Experience you can count on. It's important to have experience. But particularly when you're sitting on the bench in family court. Emotions run high. It can become volatile. You need to de-escalate. You need to have that ability. And I always say there's no substitute for experience. But if you want me to delve into my experience...
We'll get into that. May we have the first slide? Okay, this is experience, and the viewing audience can review through these. How do you believe that your experience as a family court litigator would translate into a person who has the judicial temperament, the experience, the broad mind to apply the law correctly as a judicial candidate? Tell us what that experience is.
My experience in family court?
Yes.
Okay. My experience in family court, there are different areas of family law. By way of example, we have the juvenile division. When somebody is under the age of 18 and they get into trouble, they'll end up in juvenile court. There's abuse and neglect. It's limited, where CPS will provide the district attorney with information. A petition may be filed, and then you assist the parents in getting their children back, their child or their children. Then there is guardianship court for minors and adults. I've done both. There is TPO court, and there is divorce court, where the court will handle divorce matters, child custody matters, and child support matters.
Tell the viewers what you have done as a litigator in the family court.
I have practiced in all of those areas. All of those courts I have practiced in.
How many divorces do you think that you have handled?
I can say with confidence, hundreds, potentially thousands. Our child custody cases are sealed.
Yes.
So I can't track those to the best of my knowledge. And then I worked for 2 sole practitioners before I started my own law office in 2013. And so my name may or may not be on some of those cases, but I can say with confidence it's hundreds of cases, hundreds.
Many of our viewers, they've been in family court, but many of them haven't. And many of the viewers look at the divorce court on TV, where the fake judge or whoever, retired judge, makes a decision. What are the workings of getting into a serious family law case? The motions you have to do, the research, the number of hours which are presented, presentation of experts. Discuss that very briefly for our viewing audience?
Sure, certainly. A lot of times the case begins obviously with somebody's going to file a complaint for divorce, and the courts sometimes, when there are children involved, before you go to a case management conference, they'll issue an order that the parties participate in mediation. You have to participate in good faith, and you may or may not resolve those issues. Custody is one of the most hotly contested and litigated issues in the family court, and it can become very contentious.
Now, when you have a case and you have motions, define what is a motion?
A motion is a pleading where you're asking the court for relief. You're asking for potentially, by way of example, exclusive possession of the marital residence, for alimony, interim alimony during the pendency of the case, child support during the pendency of the case. You're motioning the court for a request for relief.
Now, the litigants themselves, you have a pro per wife. The husband signed, the husband and wife signed a prenuptial agreement. He is 40 years older than she is. He's got 5 attorneys. How do you balance your thinking? How do you balance that particular case, and how do you treat the parties in that instance?
That's easy. Both litigants are to be treated equally and with the same respect. I don't care if you have 10 attorneys and one improper person litigant. They both receive the same respect, and the facts don't change. The facts are what they are. So you apply the facts to the law and make a decision. There should never be any favoritism as to who your lawyer is.
But what happens with the
Ever.
pro per defendant? The pro per defendant, she's a defendant in the marital case. What happens if she's filing all kinds of papers on 3 different sizes of paper and the back of a napkin from Applebee's? What do you do with that?
What do I do with that? Well, first and foremost, I would make a suggestion. It would never be, it wouldn't make it into the Odyssey filing.
I'm giving you an example
Okay.
of how you would react to the pro per litigant.
I would suggest, because I can't give legal advice to either of the litigants, but I would strongly suggest that litigant contact the Self-Help Center or Legal Aid of Southern Nevada to perhaps get some help, but I simply can't give legal advice.
As a domestic relations family court lawyer, have you had experience with pro per defendants
Absolutely.
or pro per plaintiffs?
Absolutely.
And are they difficult to work with?
Yes and no. People are people. Some people are apprehensive and distrustful. And again, I can not give that other party legal advice, but I can certainly try to reach a resolution without providing that legal advice. But, some people are very distrustful, and I understand that. But I try my best to obtain a resolution so that the parties don't have to litigate. And they need to be able to resolve these issues and move on.
How many motions, as a family court litigator, about how many motions do you think you have filed or opposed?
Wow, thousands.
And this requires you, when you file the motion, it requires you to look at the case, look at the case citations presented by the opposing party,
Yes.
researching those cases, seeing if it applies, seeing how it applies, any exceptions, or any comments in the footnotes or note in a law review. You have to do this, and how much time does that consume?
It can be, it can take a lot of time. In family court, it's a little bit of a different animal, so to speak. We have some cases that we rely on, like the Sargent v. Sargent, addresses attorney's fees, Myers v. Hasking. That's actually my case that I won on appeal, and it goes into detail as to when a party should be provided with an evidentiary hearing. Ellis v. Carucci is another case, and that lays out the test. It's a 2-pronged test. to modify custody for primary physical custodian, and then we have Rivera v. Rivera. So we've got some cases that we use time and time again, and as practitioners, we know those.
So you not only have the experience in the day-to-day world, ever-changing world of family court, but you also have that appellate experience.
Yes.
And tell the audience briefly about what it takes as a family court litigator to present the legal brief and legal points to the Court of Appeals or the Nevada Supreme Court.
Okay. There are different, when it's only custody, you file fast track, and there are other appeals. It just depends on what the issue is as to whether it goes to the Supreme Court or to the Court of Appeals. But it's a great deal of work. And the sad thing is,
Define great deal of work.
it's a great deal. Well, you have to make sure that your table of contents, there are a lot of rules that regulate what goes into a brief and what doesn't. There are transcripts to be ordered before that. You have a docketing statement, you have the opening brief, and then the reply brief after an answering brief is filed. So it's time consuming.
But you have specific orders from the Nevada Supreme Court or the Court of Appeals laying out the timetable for the filing of papers, correct?
That is absolutely correct.
And as an appellate law, I've filed probably 100 appeals. I've got like 12 or 14 published decisions throughout the country, but it takes a lot of work, correct?
It does.
And that work in researching points, does that translate into what you believe to be the judge's role at 5 o'clock in the morning when she's got a major hearing coming up? Yes or no?
Well, the judge has to be, the best response to that, I believe, is the judge has to get it right so that you don't have an appeal. So you have to know your issues, and you have to know the law, and you apply that law to the issues. As an advocate, by way of example, it was midnight on Christmas Eve, and my daughter was home from college, and my time with her was incredibly limited during that time period. And she said, "Mom, come on, can't you just do that tomorrow?" And I said, "No." 11:59, I hit that file button on Christmas Eve. You do what you have to do to get the job done. And I'm very passionate about my job as an advocate. And I would imagine presume that that's what drives me.
But as a judge, do you believe, now how many hours do you work a day?
Anywhere between 14 and 16 hours a day.
And you understand that when you get that robe on, you're going to hit the street immediately, correct?
Yes.
There's no waiting.
No waiting.
But you will have to go to the judicial college, correct?
Yes, that would be exciting.
And that's in, where's that, in Reno, Nevada?
I believe so, yes.
Isn't that in the international college for budding jurists?
That's my understanding.
And you'd have to go there, and you learn about this and about impartiality.
Yes.
Now, as an advocate, just for the viewing audience, as an advocate, you are espousing a certain point, and the other party's espousing their points.
Correct.
Correct?
Correct.
Now, as a judge, with your experience in seeing the presentation and the opposition, do you believe that your 22 years of experience, your hundreds of motions which have been filed, you filed divorces, everything from the shake and bake divorce where there's no assets and no children, and they've only been married a week, to complicated divorce cases involving multiple properties, multiple banks all over the world, people hiding money.
Yes.
Hold on, I got to double check that for my ex-wife. No, people hiding money. So how do you translate that experience into what you believe to be your judicial philosophy of experience you can count on?
That translates into, I know the nuances. I know the attorneys that practice down in family court. I know what's expected. I know what's not. I know, and again, there's just no substitute for experience.
And that experience you can't buy.
No.
And
no.
so what is the second point of your campaign?
The second point of my campaign is, and we touched on that when I gave my example of the Christmas Eve, you
Yes.
need to get that brief filed.
Hold on. May we go to the next slide, please? Okay. Now, here we go. We'll get to that in just a moment, what the reviewing on is. But tell us about this dedication you can count on.
Dedication, well, I based that on, I grew up in the Midwest and I moved out from the Midwest to Las Vegas in 1985 and instilled in me by both my parents is a work ethic. And again, that's something you can't get rid of. It's just ingrained in you. So if something needs done, you don't quit until you do the best you can do, and you don't quit until the job is done.
Have you been what can only be termed as a fighter in family court?
Yes, you could say
Well,
that.
there are other words for female attorneys in family court, which I cannot use presently. But do you treat people like what I'm talking about?
With professionalism?
Yes.
Yes,
Are
yes.
you the consummate professional,
Yes.
even
that's
though they
what's-
may call you names?
Yes.
All right. And have you had some very difficult transactions to review as a family court practitioner?
Yes, and I would like to backtrack and touch on what you just asked me, how you treat colleagues and
Yes.
others. I actually didn't realize that I had a social event yesterday for the campaign, and one of my colleagues was there, and I had forgotten that we had done a case against each other, and this colleague reminded me that something came up, and it's somebody that doesn't practice in family court all the time, so we were doing a prove-up hearing, and so this colleague reminded me that I was very gracious in taking over and completing that for that lawyer, which I had completely forgotten about because I handle a lot of cases. But I appreciated her thanking me and extending that gratitude.
What is the third major point you want to make to the viewing audience about the campaign of Patricia Marr for judge in Department D?
Well, aside from the experience, which is first and foremost, and the dedication, it would be obtaining justice for the families that reside in our community, because too often I see each case is individual, and I have seen as an advocate how the stress of the litigation affects my clients and both parties, litigants, and that flows down to the children. And that's what the primary focus is, the best interest of the children in these cases, if there are children. Sometimes there aren't, it's just a divorce case. But I always say there is no winner in family court. Nobody wins, but you certainly have to do, you may think you win, but to me, when you're dissolving a marriage that was supposed to be forever, that's not a winning situation. However, you do your best to resolve the matter quickly, follow the law, make sure you advocate for your client so that your client gets what your client deserves under the law, and do it in as expeditious manner as possible.
And when you're talking about justice for family, you have a child, correct?
I do.
So
I do.
You have something in you as a mother, and you can empathize with the mother's position, or can you empathize with the father's position?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And without a doubt, I can say that without any hesitation.
And you have represented both husbands and you represented wives, correct?
Correct.
In these years.
Yes, I have.
And not only are you saying to the viewing audience that not only do I have experience as an attorney, a litigator in family court, winning an appeal on a major case,
Yes.
which set precedent in the state of Nevada. I'm very proud of you. I did too, but it's been 30 years ago. But you believe that this experience, coupled with your judicial philosophy, experience you can count on, dedication you can count on, justice for families, do you believe that all of that shows that you are the right candidate for this department?
Without a doubt,
Thank
yes.
you. May we have the next slide, please? Okay, go back one, please. There we go. Endorsement alert. Can you give us some representative endorsement?
Sure. The Armed Forces Chamber, I'm talking about veterans.
Impressive. Well, the Armed Forces Chamber, they meet like once a month for like meet and greets and do they do like community charities and community activities?
Yes.
And
That's
what other
my understanding.
What other endorsement?
The Nevada Veterans Association.
And what is the Nevada Veterans Association?
It's the Association of Veterans. There are different factions of veterans in Nevada, and I wanted to be clear is that I hired in a limited capacity veterans in politics.
Okay.
But I did not hire them until after my interview process for the endorsement. I was very adamant about that because I didn't want the appearance of any impropriety. That because I had retained them, I didn't want that at all, and so I waited.
Okay, but tell the people what an endorsement is.
An endorsement is there are different kinds. Some of them, and again, I'm not an expert.
Is it something that people, the association, the Armed Forces Chamber of Commerce, is that something that they believe in you?
Yes,
And is there an interview process?
there is. There is, and I interviewed for several endorsements. Some of the interviews, the time had already passed, and so I wasn't able to submit an interview for an interview.
But you have endorsements from 3 groups of veterans.
Correct.
So that's important when we have veterans. Maybe go to the next slide, please.
Can I tell you something?
Oh, yes, please.
The endorsement from the veterans, the division of the Veterans Associations, that meant a lot to me because I have family that has served, and I don't believe that there's any greater sacrifice for a citizen than to give their life to serve.
That's an excellent point. Next slide, please. Okay, let's look at the court structure of family court. Let's get into the meat and potatoes. How is this family court distinguished from the district court?
It's a carved out section. You're still a district court judge, however you handle family matters. However, under the one family, one case rule, you may have matters outside of divorce and child custody, and so it should.
Well, let me give you an example in which I was involved many years ago. We were going to do a partition of a piece of land at the southeast corner of Silverado Ranch and Las Vegas Boulevard, way before the South Point was built. There was like 3 acres. And we filed a partition in district court, which I thought had jurisdiction over property, not justice court, district court. There was an ongoing divorce, and against my objection, the case was transferred into family court where they were going through the divorce. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes,
Okay.
that is.
So you'll have it's just not the family walks in, the husband and wife, and they put up the resident witness, and then they say absolute decree of divorce is granted. It's more than that, correct?
Absolutely, and I'm glad you brought that up because if when people visit my website, when I sat down to do it, I didn't realize how much I have done since I've obtained my license, but I practiced in civil litigation, bankruptcy, personal injury. I've practiced in tribal court, taxi cab court, believe it or not. We have a taxi cab court. I don't know if it still exists. It's been a while. But that's important. I've done jury trials, second chair. But that experience in all those different areas helps when, if I were to be on the bench in family court. For example, the reason you just gave, partitions, I've done partition actions before. So that isn't foreign to me. And I had I'll give you an example of a personal injury issue that came up in a joint legal custody situation where one of the parties had violated that. You're supposed to share decision-making regarding education, religion, medical, extracurricular activities. And I brought to the court's attention that there might be a negligent entrustment issue. And so you have to, it's not just divorce, it's not just custody. Sometimes, excuse me, those other issues do come up.
So you have to bring up your entire legal training and experience sometimes.
Absolutely.
Which I do on occasion.
Sure,
Because I get people call me on contracts and I refer them, but I go through it and then try to define the issue so that I can speak to the other attorney to whom I'm referring the case. May we have the next slide, please? Okay. Now, are there limits on a family court judge to adjudicate matters?
Limits to adjudicate. It depends.
Yes.
You have to have jurisdiction first and foremost.
All right, and define jurisdiction.
Jurisdiction is, there's subject matter jurisdiction and personal jurisdiction.
What is subject matter jurisdiction?
It's over the property, the issues at hand versus personal jurisdiction. You're taking me back to my law school.
Yes, yes. Well, the viewing audience has to understand this.
Yeah, civil procedure.
So the viewing audience has to understand this because they have to understand you to show why you are the best candidate. Experience, dedication you can count on, and justice for families. How does all that translate out into what we're talking about?
Into the real world, because if you can really botch a case, and you're talking about somebody else's a litigant's time, their stress level, and their finances, it could be a nightmare.
So what happens if something comes up which is not within your jurisdiction? What do you tell the parties?
It's not in my jurisdiction. I have to dismiss the case if it's not in my jurisdiction.
Have you had an instance in which parties have raised that you don't have jurisdiction?
It has come up. It hasn't come up recently, but it does come up, particularly in child support matters. It will come up.
And is there a set formula for child support matters in Nevada?
There is. It's NAC 425.
But what was that?
NAC 425.
And that's Nevada Administrative Code?
Yes.
Okay, and does that have the force of law
Yes.
as an administrative code?
Yes.
All right. And do you have decisions from the Nevada Supreme Court which interpret that child custody law? Yes or no?
Yes.
Are there exceptions to when you know that the wife should receive 23.5%, but the law says 22? Do you have discretion to go beyond that?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, depending on the circumstances of the case, and each case is different. Excuse me, I always tell my clients, your case, they'll say, well, my uncle, I said, look, you're never going to have the exact same set of issues. It's like your fingerprint. It's so individualized. But with that being said, there is discretion, depending on the case, as to whether to deviate. By way of example, if you have somebody that moved out of state, and then you could maybe cut them a break if there are transportation issues and costs associated with child visitation.
So you've
just
litigated these cases where people have had their child and they move to Oklahoma, and then there's a motion presented. Have you litigated those motions?
Yes, yes.
And so have you been on both sides, whether they want to take the child and you want to keep the child and vice versa?
Absolutely.
Would you consider those extremely difficult?
Yes, and if when you talk to the judges in family court, those are tough decisions for the court. When somebody seeks a motion to relocate, it's not easy for them, but there are factors that they look at, and whether it's made in good faith, whether it will benefit the child and the parent, and so on and so forth. But I think that they're more difficult for the court when you're talking about relocating a child or children to the other side of the country, or potentially even out of the country.
Why do you believe that you have the drive and the energy to rule in cases in family court?
Because I just have a passion. The reason I'm running is I was upset one day in a case where, in my opinion, the decision was wrong. And that's why we have to get it right. We need people with experience on the bench. It's not just family court. It's your family. It's your community. And my daughter looked at me and she said, do something about it. And so here I am. It's a loss of freedom because.
But you are not running for judge out of any ulterior motive such as vengeance.
No, absolutely.
Why are you running for family court district judge?
Because I want to help families in this community. It's important, and I have the experience to do that.
So you want to protect the families?
Yes,
You
yes.
is there a statute which says that maybe one of the prime objectives is to have unify the family?
To work in the best interest of the child and or the children. And it's important too, I've seen this, that what the litigation can do to somebody when it just drags on and on and on. And so, if you have to spend your weekend to get that divorce decree done, you get it done, because it's not fair to the litigants.
And if one of the defense attorneys has 5 or 6 attorneys with him, and the pro per litigant doesn't have anybody, and that law firm donated $500 to your campaign, is it going to make a difference when you make a ruling?
No, absolutely, it can't. It can't. No.
Why not?
Because you have to treat both litigants equally and impartially. That's critical. And another thing I would add is you have to maintain order and decorum in the courtroom. That's because you're already at a heightened level of stress.
Yes.
And sometimes the advocates, you have to remember, you cannot take this personally. You're advocating on behalf of your client, but I've seen that. You have to maintain control in that courtroom. It's for the benefit of everyone.
Do you believe that you have, based on your experience as a litigator, as a mother, this 22 years as a lawyer, and being in the trenches in family court, seeing every single judge appearing in civil courts, justice courts, do you think that you have the judicial temperament to be elected as family court judge in Department D of the family court in Las Vegas?
I do.
Tell the audience why.
The temperament, well, I've learned through my experience what used to frustrate me as a young advocate, somebody when I was newer, and I've had good mentorship through some sole practitioners and colleagues, and I have the wisdom to. I had a wise mentor tell me once, I was upset with the ruling, and I came back, and that my employer, my mentor said, calm down. He said, sometimes the judge will make a decision and give somebody enough rope to hang themselves.
Yes.
So that type of experience, learning through those trials, literally hundreds of trials and motion hearings, you
Trials
learn things.
where?
Oh my goodness, I've had trials in divorce court, I've had trials in civil court, criminal court, abuse and neglect, federal trials, state trials.
So
Yeah,
you know your way around the courtroom,
you could say that.
and you know what you would have to. Do you know what you have to do when you go to court on Monday morning at 5:30 or 5 o'clock? You have an agenda of what you should accomplish by the end of the day, correct?
Absolutely.
And you have staff meetings.
Yes.
What's the purpose of the staff meeting?
So everybody's on the same page and nothing falls between the cracks.
And you have a law clerk,
I do. I have a paralegal.
paralegal. And is the paralegal like sworn to secrecy about what you're going to decide? And he helps write the decision?
Oh, you're talking about as an advocate or as
No, as a judge.
As a judge. Yes, they absolutely.
So the
should
law
be.
clerk couldn't call and say, Judge Marr's going to rule this way.
No.
It comes from the bench or the written decision.
Yes.
And do you believe that also is part of your impartiality for your staff,
Yes,
regardless of who they know and what they know?
without a doubt. Absolutely.
And does this total experience, knowing your way around the courtroom, presenting trials, we did a massive trial back in 85, 84.
Oh, no, it was in,
No, 95, 2005.
yes.
Yes,
it was in
I stand
2005.
corrected, audience. And we were being just stormed with discovery, and they didn't want to cooperate. And we went to jury selection. I filed a motion for severance. The judge didn't grant it. And as soon as I made my opening statement and looking at the jury, Judge Stenton called up and says, "Come here, Mr. Green. I'm going to give you a severance," because he knew they were going to have a problem. But you know your way around these courts.
I remember that. As a matter of fact, I would tell the audience that you called me up, it was 3 a.m., and you said, "Come on," and we were working on some trial exhibits, I believe, and I met you at Kinko's.
Now, all this shows your dedication, correct?
Yes,
Dedication to a court that the viewing audience can count on.
yes,
And when you get that call in the middle of the night or on a holiday, when you're doing TPO duty, what do you do? What do you do or envision when you're reviewing what the officer's telling you, where you're going to either restrain somebody's liberty from doing something or he's going to go for it? What do you do?
I research what I'm provided with and make the best decision that I can based upon the facts.
But isn't that decision-making limited amount of time?
Yes,
They got the DUI. I mean, excuse me. They got the wife who's been beaten, and so you are relying on what the officers have said.
correct.
And do you know that your decision to issue the TPO could be challenged by, let's say, the husband,
Yes.
through his lawyers?
Yes,
So do you believe that at that moment, high stress, Christmas night at your home, a high stress situation with that TPO, whether the father's going to see his kids on Christmas or not, do you still have to exercise impartiality?
yes. Well, based upon
No
the
matter
facts.
what the
Yeah.
facts are, you have to be impartial, correct?
Yes, yes.
And you based your experience in seeing these, do you think that your experience in getting TPOs you instantly granted? Do you believe that you have the temperament and the judicial philosophy and the experience to issue an order to have someone not go see their kids on Christmas Day, no matter what you think, no matter how everybody's crying about it?
Yes.
And
As a judge, particularly in family court, you're going to have to make decisions that not everybody's happy with, but you have to apply the facts to the law
now,
impartially.
with your experience as a litigator in family court, in every division of the family court, is this a job for on-the-job training?
No. No.
Why not?
No, because it's, by way of example, and I've already stated that emotions run high. It can be a volatile environment. We have seen the Smith shooting not too long ago. That's just one of many examples I could provide. Safety can be at risk, and lives can be at risk.
So do you believe that some of your rulings are not only based on preserving the family or making decisions for the family, but also safety of the children, safety of the community?
Absolutely, 100%, 150%. You have to always consider the best interest of the children.
And why are you the best candidate for district court judge in family court division D of the family court in Las Vegas, Nevada?
Don, I have over 22 years of experience, a lot of it in family court. But again, we've discussed my extensive legal background. And I've been a resident in Las Vegas for 41 years now. And the community, families matter. They matter, and experience matters. You don't want to gamble with your family, and you don't. A judge shouldn't have training wheels on when they're coming to sit on the bench.
That is excellent. So you believe that you have the experience which the public can count on?
I know I do.
You have the dedication you can count on?
Yes,
And you believe that there should be justice for the families?
absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you so much. And this is Don Green. We'll be signing off. And thank you very much, Ms. Marr, and
Thank
good luck
you.
on your campaign. And we want to thank Rigel Studios.
Thank you for having me.